Have you been thinking about moving out of the United States permanently? Because I have. I've been thinking about it since 2017, actually. And the reason I started thinking about it was financial considerations. Financial considerations brought about by healthcare costs. So, yeah, 2017 was quite a while ago. So I've been doing a lot of research on this, hundreds and, Christ, maybe thousands of hours of research in terms of different countries. And I've come up with, a short list, as I'm sure a lot of people would, going through this process. I just want to give you a quick overview. I'm not alone in this. You may know people yourself that are talking about doing this. So there's a survey that I've seen now referred to in 4 different articles in 4 different media outlets. And that survey says that 17% of Americans intend to relocate overseas within the next 5 years. And 5% are actively preparing to move at this moment. I've seen this all over media in the last week. And by the way, if you're listening to this later, right now is March 21st, 2025. So I've seen this all over. It's hard to believe. These numbers are hard to believe, and I'll tell you why. It's hard for me to believe from, some statistical integrity point of view. The United States population is around 330 million people. A little bit more, but let's call it 330 million. So, do the math. 17% of that is approximately 56 million people. So you might say to yourself, well, 17%, that's not a huge number. It is 56 million people. This says that 56 million people are planning to leave the United States in the next 5 years. That's their intention. 56 million people. Christ, where are these people going to go? That's a lot of people. Let me just give you, a data point here. Spain is a popular choice right now. Very popular for some great reasons. Spain has a total population of 48 million people. So let's say 1/10 of the 56 million people, 56 million Americans, decide to go to Spain. Just 1/10. Okay? That's 5.6 million people. Right? There's only 48 million people in Spain. That would be one heck of an American expatriate population, right? That's more than 10% of their current population. Portugal, right? You've heard people talk about Portugal. Another popular choice because it's cheaper than Spain. The income requirements are cheaper. So, and it still has beautiful beaches, incredible food, incredible people. But Portugal has 10.6 million people total. 10.6 million people. If a couple million Americans show up, that's a sizable percentage of their population all of a sudden. Right? So remember that 56 million people, that's 17% of the population in America right now. Let me just run some other countries by it. Costa Rica, another popular spot. A lot of Americans there already. Costa Rica has a total population of 5.1 million people. Panama, up and coming, very strong consideration on my list, has 4.5 million people. Italy, 59 million. France, 69 million. Uruguay, which almost no one wants to go to, but they should, because it's wonderful. And they have 3.4 million people. Netherlands. Why is the Netherlands here? Well, most Americans don't know it, but there's something the Netherlands has with the United States called the DAFT. Terrible name, yeah, I know. DAFT, Dutch-American Friendship Treaty. And with that treaty, it's like pretty much 100% approval for visa. With that treaty, any American citizen can get a resident visa in the Netherlands as long as they promise to start a business there. The business doesn't even have to make money. They just need to have revenues, expenses, etc. Netherlands has 18 million people. So, yeah, if Americans do move in those kind of numbers, holy smokes. Like I said, there are going to be some very large American expat communities in different parts of the world. Before I go any further, I have to apologize in advance. The ambient noise level here in this room is a little high. One, because my teenage son is in another room fairly far away, but he is doing online gaming, and all the whoops and hollers and shouts, he gets very involved. Those of you that have teenage boys in your household, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So you may hear that once in a while. I'm free-forming today, so not working off any kind of notes or anything. You may hear him once in a while. And also you may hear the heat come on because, as I mentioned, it's March 21st, 2025 today, and I'm in Oregon, and the cold, wet, raw Oregon winter has not left yet. It's pretty darn cold out today. Sheets of dark, very cold rain coming down. So anyway, I apologize for that. So you might ask yourself, since I mentioned earlier, well, why exactly since 2017 have you been looking at a place to go overseas? Fair enough. In 2017, I was diagnosed with a kind of leukemia, and I started treatment for that in 2017. And unfortunately, they don't let you switch health insurance when something bad happens. You have to wait. In the United States, you have to wait until you get the enrollment period comes around at the end of the year. And the insurance I had, I didn't have anything really wrong with me before that. The insurance I had, it didn't it didn't cover much of the very expensive treatment that I was about to get. It had very high deductibles, very high copays, and I immediately had to go in for bone marrow samples, and hey, it was a lot of really expensive stuff. And the healthcare system in the United States is totally screwed up. I mean, it's completely messed up. You get to pay these extraordinary premiums every month while nothing's wrong with you. And then when something is wrong with you, you get to pay a lot more money, for the deductibles and the copay. So what I have now, I still have it. What I have now is very expensive in terms of ongoing treatment. And it broke me financially. It took all the money I had saved, and very quickly I had to go into debt just to afford treatment. So, I started looking around for a better place to go that would have nationalized health care, lower prescription. I am still getting treated for leukemia all these years later. I went into remission a couple of years ago. Finally, I went into remission, and fingers crossed. They were hoping that would stick, but it didn't. After a year, my lab results came back up. They spiked, the white blood cell counts, and I do chemotherapy, but not the chemotherapy that you think of. I'm not getting radiation treatment or anything. I take chemotherapy. I take a tablet, which is basically poison, to kill the leukemia, but it doesn't kill me. It makes me feel pretty bad. And I take that every day. And once a month, I go get these very extensive labs, and they look at everything and say, okay, you're good to go. So I can, according to the doctors, I can live like this. I can live like this in this medicated state with the chemo for years and years. I mean, they're not even sure how long I can live, because there wasn't even treatment for this stuff until, I think, 2005. If you got the leukemia I have before that, you just died. There wasn't treatment for it. So I'm 67. Medicare started paying for this when I was Medicare eligible at 65. So that's been a tremendous burden, lifted off me financially. But it just wrecked my whole life and financially before that. I still owe money from those years, After I was able to enroll in a new plan, I did that with, a very low deductible and a very low copay, the lowest I could get, the gold, platinum level, whatever. And that my insurance was then $1,200 a month through, the Obamacare plan. So I was paying premiums of $1,200 a month. And you might say, whoa, why so much? Well, because if I didn't pay that, like I said, I'd have to pay a copay on the medication that I take every day. And that medication in the United States costs $9,000 a month. That's right, I didn't stutter. $9,000 a month. In other countries, even if you buy it cash over the counter, it's like $100 a month. I swear to God. So in Spain or Germany or Canada, it's crazy, isn't it? But here, that's what it costs. So at this point, I'm stable, medically. I'm stable, and at this point, I could just keep taking my quotidian, my daily tablet here. It doesn't really matter where I take it. I just have to show up every 3 months or so for lab tests and make sure that things have not gotten worse, that the status quo is maintained. So that's why I was looking for another place to go, and that's why I'm still seriously considering another place to go. So I apologize for that long detour, but that is the reason I started. Now, since that time, there have been some other inputs in terms of me wanting to go. One, right before I was diagnosed with leukemia, I got married. And my wife is a foreign national. And she is a Philippine foreign national. So I have no idea how much you know about the Philippines, but that's going to be my next podcast, a little primer on the Philippines. But the Philippines is a very poor country, and if you have a Philippines passport, they really don't want you to visit. Other countries really don't want you to visit because they're afraid that you'll get off the plane and never go back. So you will stay and be an illegal alien. So I'd like to have my wife get another passport, whether it's a U.S. passport or some other passport. I don't care, as long as it's a passport that enables her to travel to other countries, because we'd like to do some of that. So that's one reason. The second reason is not just medical, but it's so much cheaper to live in another country. Some other countries, not all other countries. It's much cheaper to live. Much, much cheaper to live. And it's a good quality of life. And since, again, I'm at that age where I'm taking Social Security, and unfortunately, because of leukemia, it hit right before I retired. So I had to take it at 62. I couldn't wait because I couldn't work, during the leukemia. The first part of it, I was feeling so weak and everything. So I had to take it early, and so my Social Security is not anywhere near what I had planned for it to be because of, the leukemia. And so I'm very interested in living in a place where my day-to-day living expenses are much lower. Third, and this is not as important to me as it is to probably some other people you know. Third, there's a lot of bad magic going on in the United States. Let's face it. I mean, there is a lot of hatred towards other people for not believing in the things that that you believe in, and there is a lot of chaos going on, And I think we're just at the beginning of chaos. So, the clock is ticking on my life. My mortality is not like right around the corner. It's not tomorrow. But my mortality is getting closer. I've got less days left than I do have behind me. And I'd like to spend those days in a more calm, relaxed environment. Now, for a lot of people, that are in that 17% that want to leave, for a lot of people, what I just described is number one on their list, or they're much more precise about it and say, well, I can't hang. I can't hang with the government we have now. I think a lot of those people, as has happened in the past, their initial anger and unhappiness will diffuse, not D-E, but D-I-F-F-U-S-E, will diffuse into just general resentment, and they won't go anywhere. They're not going to end up going anywhere. So I have doubts about that 17% number. Regardless, whatever it ends up being, 17%, 20%, 10%, 8%, I have done a lot of research over the past few years about which countries to go to. Now, my research, again, is slanted towards me, my needs, right? So what are my needs? Well, my needs are, I've got to go someplace where there's excellent medical care. Not because I'm expecting that I'm gonna need it. I'm gonna need a bone marrow transplant for my leukemia or anything. Not because of that. I think I believe the doctors I have when they say, you could just be in this static state and live for the next 20 years. Just keep taking those poison tablets every day. So I believe that. But I do need, very specific kinds of very complex medical infrastructure that can do the labs and people that are trained to look at everything. And so that leaves some countries out of the loop, right? For instance, I've spent a lot of time in the Philippines. I worked there as a consultant. That's how I met my wife. It was none of this online stuff, I was working in the Philippines, setting up call centers. The call centers everybody hates to talk to. In India, I was working in India and the Philippines. I met my current wife in the Philippines while I was working there. And so I lived in, Tacloban, I lived in Malate, lived in Makati in the Philippines. And it's great in terms of your budget. I mean, holy cow. I mean, our apartment there or our house, it was a row house. There in Tacloban, it was a 2-bedroom, air conditioning, heated shower. That's an option in the Philippines. Heated water in the shower. And here we go. I'm going to knock your socks off. I mean, it was in a nice neighborhood right next to the walking distance of the mall and everything. It was $153 a month. That's right, $153 per month. Okay? So me, my wife, My stepson, we lived on like $1,000 a month there. Okay. Not bad, huh? But the medical care in the Philippines, it's great for basic stuff. They're competent. It's very cheap. And I'm talking like broken arm, appendectomy, childbirth, monitor your diabetes, all that stuff. Super cheap. They're good at that stuff. Complex stuff, COPD, heart issues, liver cancer, leukemia, lupus, forget it, man. That's not a good place for you to be. That is not a good place for you to be. So it's these kinds of, considerations that I have taken into account, not just for the Philippines, but for all countries, right? So it leaves out countries that are very cheap and actually, very safe. Cheap and safe, and it leaves out a lot of those. They get knocked off the list. So what is my list? Well, my particular list has some countries on it that you would certainly guess right away, has some countries on that you would guess right away, and probably a couple countries that you would not really have on your list. Maybe not yet. Maybe not till you start looking at it. So, for instance, on my list, there's Spain. And Spain has a visa called a non-lucrative visa, and all you have to do is prove for one person. All you have to do is prove that you have income, consistent, steady income of about $2,300 US dollars per month. Okay, so if you have that, whether it's your Social Security payment, whether it's private pension, whether it's annuity income, steady stream of dividend income, whatever it is, you can get a visa in Spain, resident visa. You qualify for their nationalized health care, which is excellent. And you can go live in Spain, and the food is great, and the weather is great, and the people are great. I mean, it's a pretty sweet deal. If you have more people, let's say that you have a spouse that doesn't work, so he or she is a dependent, then you need, I believe from what I remember, it's like another $300 per month income per person. So if you have 3 kids, it's $900 more, right? Spain is great. Food is great. People are great. I think I already said that. But it's great. My adult daughter, from my first marriage, by the way, I'm on my 3rd marriage. I'm a 2-time loser in terms of marriage. My adult daughter lived in Valencia, Spain, and my God, she just pines for it. I mean, she just thinks about how to get back there every day. She's in her 30s. So, there's Spain. Spain's on my list. Portugal's on my list. Portugal is just as wonderful as Spain. Food's just as great. It's just as beautiful, and the income requirements are much lower. But there is a problem right now with Portugal. The word has gotten out. The word's gotten out about Portugal. And so they have a 2-year backlog right now, as I speak. They have a 2-year backlog in visa applications. They have been swamped with visa applications from people from different parts of the world that wish to move there. And so, if you don't mind waiting, you can get in the queue. Portugal's like Spain. It's beautiful. It's very safe. Excellent health care. On and on and on and on, right? What other countries are on my list? Well, I haven't given up on the Philippines. It's possible, I think. I'm still checking this out. I just started checking it out a couple months ago. I believe it's possible that I can get the medication I need from a pharmacy in Canada. I can have it shipped to me every couple months. With as long as I have a prescription, a prescription from a real doctor. And there's also the possibility there's a generic of what I have that's only sold in Asia, apparently, and it's made by an Indian pharmaceutical firm, and it's very cheap. Again, it's like $30 a month. But I can't seem to track down much information on that so far. I don't know if that's real or not. The medication itself is real, but I don't know if its availability would be real. So I haven't given up on that. I love the Philippines for a variety of reasons. I loathe the Philippines. I hate the Philippines for a variety of reasons. Again, I'm going to do my next podcast about that. And those of you that have an interest in it, I'll put up my email address, and you can send me some questions, and I'll answer those questions in the next podcast. I'll answer them on the air, so to speak, and I will also do that for this podcast. I'll put my email in, and if you've got questions, I'll answer those questions in the next podcast. So that hasn't fallen off the map yet, the Philippines. I have worked in some of the other Asian countries. I've worked in Japan. I worked for a Panasonic subsidiary. I worked as a consultant, business consultant, and so I worked overseas. I worked in Russia. Worked for Avtovaz in Russia. I worked for 2 companies in India. I worked in Japan. I worked in Korea. Worked in the Philippines. So I'm not really interested in Japan, even though it's very cheap right now. Very cheap. Not in Tokyo, of course, but you can live so cheap out in the country in Japan. But you better be fluent in Japanese, and the Japanese culture is a very, very, very different culture. I love Japan, nothing against Japan, but I'm not interested in living there. And the same goes for Korea. India, forget it. Never going to happen for a variety of reasons. China, I worked in China for Minsheng Bank. Nope. So there are some other countries that people I know say wonderful things about. Vietnam, Thailand. My God, the food. You think Thai food is good in the States or in Canada or in London? I mean, my God, the food is so wonderful in Thailand. Holy smokes. So, Vietnam, Thailand, even Cambodia, Malaysia. Malaysia, a lot of English is spoken in Malaysia. Muslim country though. But I'm not really interested in those other Asian countries so much. I don't know, maybe Thailand. But Thailand, for the type of visa that I would want, that has some permanence to it, it's not cheap. By the way, the Philippines, if you are a U.S. citizen, and I believe a couple other countries as well, you can. I know this seems hard to believe. A lot of things about the Philippines seem hard to believe. If you're a U.S. citizen, you can fly into the Philippines on a tourist visa and stay for 3 years. Yes, 3 years. Yeah. Okay, so Asia, pretty much in Asia, I'm probably just, Philippines. In Europe, I'd love to be in Europe and a couple other places. France has a good visa. It's not that expensive. To live out in the country in France is not expensive at all. Now, if you want to be in Paris, that's unbelievably expensive, just like it would be to live in New York City in the United States. It's unbelievably expensive to live in Paris. But out in the country, in Brittany, some of the smaller cities, Dijon, Lyon, it's a very nice way of life, and it is not expensive at all. Germany, more expensive than France, but not too much expensive. But when I start getting in the more advanced Western economies in Europe, it gets more expensive, and I have to be very cognizant of my financial limitations. It's not likely that I'm going to be making a lot of money besides my Social Security income for the rest of my life. So, for instance, that leaves Ireland out. I mean, Ireland, you've got to make basically, it's right under $60,000 a year to qualify for their residence visa, what they consider a retirement visa. I'm Irish American. We have Irish roots. I'd love to be in Ireland, but it's not going to happen unless I hit the Powerball or Mega Millions. It's not going to happen, right? So Germany's on my list. France, Spain, Portugal. Now here's one you probably didn't see coming, and that is Albania. Super cheap, super wonderful. By the way, they love Americans there. They love Americans. A fair amount of people speak English if you stay in the big cities like Tirana. In Europe, when you are in the northern European countries, and I'm talking Sweden, Finland, the Netherlands, Germany, the level of English is superb. It's really just great. So you could move there and know very little of the in-country language, and it's okay. You could get along while you learn that language. You should never go anywhere and just think you're going to speak English only. I mean, that's not going to happen. You need to learn the language. If you move to any country, you need to learn the language, period. But in those northern European countries, it's kind of, a cheat. I mean, you can learn it more slowly because so many people speak great English. You get in the southern European countries, it's a different story. I mean, you go to Greece, you go to Italy, Spain, Portugal. A lot of people, I mean, yes, you get in the heavy tourist areas, they'll speak some English in the hotels or restaurants, but they're not going to speak any English when you try to get your driver's license or pay your taxes or get on the phone with the health insurance people or pay your electric bill. I mean, that is not happening, buddy. That's not going to happen. So you need to learn as much as you can before you get there and learn as much as you can as quickly as you can once you're there. And then you get to these other countries, some of the other countries I'm going to go into right now on my list, and there's almost no English. I mean, almost no English. So anyway, any countries in the Middle East? No. Not interested. Just simply not interested. Not for me. I have a few countries in Latin America that are super strong contenders. And I would say probably the number one on that list is Panama. Hopefully they're not going to start hating Americans anytime soon if the guy that we have in charge here decides that he needs to take back the Panama Canal by force. So hopefully they're not going to start hating Americans, because that has never ever gotten out of my top three since 2017. Great country, super cheap. You get up, I'm not talking about Panama City, that's as hot as Miami, but you get up in the country like Boquete, and you don't need to turn on the air conditioning, you don't need to turn on the heat. You do need to learn Spanish, though. But, oh my God, it's so beautiful. The temperature is great, the food is great. Panama is just super nice. And they have this retirement visa called a pensionado visa. A few different Spanish-speaking countries label their retirement visa as a pensionado visa, including Panama. And it's the income requirements are very low. It's very flexible. And it has all these perks. I mean, these just incredible perks. You can bring in goods duty free. You can bring in your car duty free from the United States. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's just, I mean, they have this massive welcome mat for retirees, and the healthcare there, I wouldn't say it's not world class. It's not what you would get in Germany or Spain or the UK or France, but it's very good. It's very good. So that's a perennial on my list. Ecuador was number one on my list, but they started having some problems a couple of years ago, starting with COVID. I mean, COVID, I'm not exaggerating for effect here. COVID, they literally had bodies in the streets. It's a poor country, which is why it's such a bargain for retirees. The medical there it's not as good as Panama. It's probably about the same as the aforementioned Philippines. It is a beautiful, beautiful country. They're still having some issues, a lot of political strife, and there's been some killings. None of any foreigners, just, you know, Ecuadorian nationals. But that's still a possibility. And here's a curveball. Uruguay. You say, oh my God, Uruguay. I forgot that even existed. It does exist. It does exist. It's right next to Argentina. It's right on the water. It is the most stable country in Latin America, the lowest crime rate. It's beautiful. And it is a little bit more expensive, though, than other countries in Latin America. They have a great easy visa, but it is more expensive. I mean, it's probably about the same cost as living in Spain without a lot of the great infrastructure and the great medical. It's nice, though. Now, you might say, oh, Christ, what about, what about, countries like Canada? I mean, it's right next door. Why is that not on your short list? Or if you want something warmer, Mexico. I mean, I've heard great things about Mexico, right? All my friends are talking about Mexico. It's super cheap. It's easy. Why not Mexico? Canada's expensive. It's cold, of course. Big minus for me. It's expensive. Is it as expensive as the United States? No. But it's expensive. It's pretty close. In some parts of Canada, they have a housing shortage. The national health care is very good, but there are tremendous waits, tremendous queues for their health care. That's not good. Canadians are great. I mean, I love them. I'm just not that interested. To me, it just seems like sort of a less expensive, more polite, far less violent United States. All good things, but I'm looking for a bigger change. Okay? Mexico. I'm really not interested in Mexico. And, if I wanted to go someplace where things generally don't work, or if they do work, they work slowly and badly, I'd go to the Philippines. That's where I'd go. The Philippines, many of the people speak some level of English. Not great, but some level. You can generally make yourself understood. And like I said, if I wanted to go somewhere where, things didn't work a lot of times, or if they did work, they worked slowly and badly, I'd just go to the Philippines. I would prefer living there to Mexico. I mean, to me, the Philippines is better than Mexico, except for the food. I love I love the food in Mexico. But in terms of everything else, I mean, the people are great in Mexico. People are great in the Philippines. It's cheap, but it's cheap in the Philippines. It's warm. It's warm in the Philippines. Go down the list here. I think I'd just rather be in the Philippines. And then I don't have to become fluent in Spanish either if I go to the Philippines. So, Mexico's not on my list for that reason. But I'm not saying it shouldn't be on your list. Let me speaking of lists, let me just give you the list that was popular when I started doing this in 2017. Okay, these are the top 10 places. And I still have this. I still have this in a PDF file from 2017. These are the top 10 places in 2017 that Americans expressed interest in moving to if they moved out of the country. Are you ready? So these are in descending order. So number 1 is first. Canada is number 1. Italy, number 2. England, then Australia, number 4. Ireland, France, Switzerland. Hey, I love Switzerland, but my God, it's so expensive. Jesus, that is a very expensive country to live. Costa Rica, great. Blue zone. I mean, they have almost 100% energy from natural sources, solar, water. Scotland, number 9, and then Germany. So that's what it used to be. What is it now? Now, I would say this list that I'm going to go to right now is probably I don't know. I would say this list is I would say this list is probably more indicative, more reflective of where people are interested in going. But these are the people I know. You may know a different set of people. So I have conversations with people. These are the places that come up very often. Okay? So the first one is Portugal. People are crazy for Portugal, which is why I guess they have a 2-year backlog on visas. Second one, you guessed it, Spain. Warm weather, great food. And Spaniards and the Portuguese, man, they know how to live. They don't make a lot of money. I mean, I think the average income in Spain is like 33,000 US dollars per year. But they live well. I mean, and they, I don't want to trot out a cliche or trope here, but, they work so they can live nice. They work to live. They don't live just to work like in the States, And hey, I'm not saying that to denigrate anyone that loves to work. I mean, that was me for decades. I worked. I was a workaholic, I love to work. But where did it get me? Where did it get me when I got sick? It got me nowhere fast. All that work. What was it for? Okay, so Portugal, Spain, Costa Rica. Costa Rica's nice. It's never so much been. It's got. Hey, for the residence visa, I'm sure I just looked at it a little while ago. I think it's still it's only $1,000 a month income that you have to prove, whether it's through, again, Social Security, pension, whatever. And it's beautiful weather, and man, there are a lot of Americans there already. I mean, Costa Rica, It's not exactly a secret. It's been a place for Americans to go for the last 25 years. Mexico, Canada, New Zealand. Now, I've never been to New Zealand or Australia. That is a part of the world I've never been to. New Zealand, from what I have heard, what I've read, what I've seen in numerous articles, YouTube videos, it's really expensive to live there. I mean, it's really expensive. It's really safe. It's really beautiful, but it's really expensive. And it's not easy to get a visa either. So there are a lot of technology executives, multimillionaires and billionaires. That's their plan B passport, a New Zealand passport, because they can afford the visa and they can afford to live there if they have to live there. So, but yeah, it's great if you got the bucks, you know. Thailand, there's a fair amount of Americans in Thailand, lots of Americans, a lot of Brits, so many Brits there, a lot of Australians. And they have a great healthcare system too. And the food, like I said, the food, yeah, just unbelievable. Italy, of course. Now, you might say, well, Doc, why was Italy not on your list? Well, because it's just out of reach financially for me. If I hadn't had to take it early, Social Security early, I'd be all over Italy. I love Italy, the Amalfi Coast. I love the north even, Modena. I'd be all over Italy, but for one person, the retirement visa I think is $3,300 or $3,400. $3,400 or $3,300 per month for one person. And I've got a second person, so, probably about $4,000 a month. So I can't meet that income threshold. But Italy is fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, the food is to die for, yes. Malaysia, I talked about Malaysia before. Malaysia's great. Very affordable. Lots of English spoken. Really modern infrastructure in terms of transport, internet, etc. It's, from everything I've heard, it's got excellent health care. Singapore, really expensive, more expensive than New Zealand. Would I like to live in Singapore? Sure. I mean, if I had several $1 million, I've been to Singapore a few times, been through it. Sure, but oh my gosh. And Singapore, again, English is widely spoken. The city is just unbelievably clean. It's easy to get around in. Public transport is exceptional. It's great, but it's not cheap. And unfortunately, cheap has to be one of the attributes in my selection criteria. Ecuador, there we go. People talk about Ecuador. Argentina. So Argentina is next to Uruguay. And Argentina has, for decades Buenos Aires has been called the Paris of Latin America. It's beautifully laid out. Argentina has great food, great people. Argentina also has insane inflation, just insane. 78% annually, something like that, depending on what year it is. When you get paid in Argentina, you go and take all the money you get and you spend it immediately. You buy everything immediately. You pay your rent. You pay your rent early. You you buy food because the prices just keep going up. So you have to spend it. I mean, the money it's like a perishable good. Now, if you have U.S. dollars, you're sitting pretty in Argentina. The government has an exchange rate that everyone ignores for U.S. dollars. The actual exchange rate is really very high. People love U.S. dollars, right? If you get paid in U.S. dollars, like I said, you're doing great in Argentina. Argentina is like always on the brink of insolvency. Great place to live, though. Great food, great people. I've thought about Argentina a couple times for about 5 minutes. Oh, by the way, the healthcare is great there too. You're going to need to be fluent in Spanish. Same with Uruguay, by the way. I think I'd rather be in Uruguay. It's a lot more stable. It's right across the border from Argentina. But Argentina's not a bad choice. It's not a bad choice. Not bad at all. Japan, I talked about my reasons for Japan, but Japan is cheap. It's really cheap. Some of you may have heard about these houses in Italy that you can buy for $1. These towns that are deserted. They're trying to revitalize the town. And so you can buy these houses for $1 and then spend $100 or $200 or $300,000 making it into a beautiful place. Well, Japan has their own version of that. They have all these houses out in the rural areas that you can buy for $100 or $500, and they are houses that their owners have just abandoned. And so the little village, the town, has taken the houses over, and you can buy them unbelievably cheap. Now, the reason they've been abandoned is because they're not worth anything, and the new owners, they got it in the will from their elderly grandparents, and their grandparents lived in those houses, for 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 years. And so those houses, they're not as bad as the ones in Italy, but they need some serious work, most of them. But yeah, you can buy those as a foreigner. Plenty of YouTube videos. Go ahead, look them up. Plenty of YouTube videos. Foreigners have bought these houses in rural Japan and put them back together. And some of them live in those houses full time. A lot of them just live in the house, part of the year. It's very cheap, but you are out in the country, okay? The nearest train station is a ways away, and they may only have 1 or 2 trains per day, and no one speaks English at all. You're going to have to become fluent in Japanese. But hey, Japan has great infrastructure, 0 crime just about, great medical care. They are respectful towards foreigners, but you will never be part of Japan from their perspective. I don't care if you live there for 40 years. You will always be the foreigner. Okay? And to be fair, it's like that in a lot of countries, You can go to Ireland and live there for the next 30 years. It doesn't matter. You're always going to be the Yank. Always. I mean, a lot of these places don't have a history of immigration. So, it's not that they're going to be awful to you, terrible to you. It's just, you're always going to be seen as someone other. That's all. Taiwan, I've never considered Taiwan. Heard wonderful things about it. I'm a little leery of Taiwan just because of, China. Always trying to bully them, always threatening to take them back. But I've heard great things about it. Denmark. Okay, I've never heard anyone in my circles talking much about Denmark. When they talk about it, it's Finland or Netherlands when they talk about Northern Europe. But it's basically the same template as those other countries. High quality of life, excellent health care, strong social safety net, oodles of vacation days, just like in Germany and Sweden and so forth, Netherlands. It's great. It's cold. Although it's probably not any colder than where I live right now. Probably, that's the weather in Netherlands. It's exactly the way where I am right now. Cold, rain, some snow once in a while. Chile. I've heard great things about Chile. I don't know why exactly. I've never really delved into Chile. Never really looked at it, but I've heard great things about it. Greece, beautiful. Food's good. I wouldn't say it's great. Food's good. Not many people speak English. But again, heard good things about it. If you're going to go on an all-out effort to learn Greek, have at it, man. And South Korea. I've already covered that. I don't really... I like Korea. I like Koreans. I don't... It's like Japan. I'm not really... It's too big a shift for me. I'm not really interested in it. No. Anyway, so this is a really high-level view. This, again, my opinion. These are my opinions about these countries. What suits me, my situation. My situation may be similar to your situation. I imagine it probably isn't for most. But, I have these boxes I need to tick. Right? I need to tick off certain boxes. Healthcare, affordability that's maybe lower than a lot of people. A lot of people, they've got $5,000 a month to play with. They've got $8,000 a month to play with in terms of their retirement income per month. I don't have that. I would have had that if my previous life had not been derailed, but I don't have that anymore. And it's at my age, it's not going to happen. So I have to be cognizant of the financial restrictions I have. All right. I've done a lot of research. This is a top-level view. I can probably answer some questions about the places I've done research about. If you have questions, like I said, if you have questions and you want to email those questions to me, I'll be happy to answer them in the next podcast. It's up to you. All right. I think that's it, and I'm signing off for now. And if you are considering a move overseas, I know it's I know it's a bit nerve-wracking to go to a new place, a new country, a new language. But I've lived in 3 different countries beside the United States. It's okay. And you know something? It's fun in a lot of ways. When you first get there, 3 months, 6 months, even in the first year, let me tell you something. There's going to be a lot of times you're going to say, why did I do this? Well, I just want to go back home. But if you can make it through that initial stage, everything's golden, I'm telling you. I know it doesn't seem like there's a light at the end of the tunnel when you get frustrated or whatever, but it's worth it. And you know, it's worth it in terms of economic. It's worth it in terms of satisfaction and contentment with your life. And it's worth it, you know, it's worth it in terms of a new adventure, a new experience. You're not dead yet. I'm not dead yet. You still got more life in you. Do something. When I was a young guy, my uncle, who was not an educated man, but he was a pretty smart man. The advice he gave to me was, be interested and be interesting. That's great advice. And it's still great advice at my age. If you're near my age, it's great advice for you too. Gonna sign off now.